right, good evening. This will start the Town of Riverhead Industrial Development Agency Board meeting. And we have an agenda, so let me call that to order. I will do that at 5:05. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, now before I look at the agenda, before we consider it, I'd like to change some positions in order to let folks who probably don't have long presentations, I'm taking a chance there, and saving the bigger one for a number of reasons that we know of for last. So while you'll see that 331 East Main is first, we're going to do you last. After we finish with the first two, which is, we'll start with
You want to take old business out of order, I think, first,
Yeah.
and bring it up to number 3 before consideration of the minutes?
Yeah. All right, so, yeah, we're gonna move that up, and then there's one other.
Peconic County Brewery
Yes.
is right underneath 331 East Main Street.
Oh, here.
That will be number 2,
Okay.
and 331 will be 3rd.
All right, with those changes, I ask for a motion to consider the proposed agenda. Thank you. A second?
One second.
Any questions?
No.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, and then we'll do the consideration of the minutes for the June 1st meeting.
I'll
need a
make the
there?
motion.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
Any additions, deletions, questions?
No.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we're going to go to Woolworth, is that correct?
Correct. Old business, a compliance hearing for
Old
Woolworth
business is
Revitalization.
now first, compliance hearing for Woolworth Revitalization, LLC. Who will be speaking for them?
I'd like to make an introduction.
Sure.
Chairman. The intent of this hearing is to determine if the project is in default. I provide the board with the chain of communication as well as the section of the lease which pertains to the obligations of reporting. Should the board find the project to be in fault, a remedy will be explored during a governance committee meeting after this, before the next board meeting. Here today representing Woolworth Revitalization is the proprietor Michael Butler and his counsel Reza Abrahimi. Whoever you
Okay.
want to come up to the podium first.
Okay, welcome.
Good
All yours.
afternoon, Reza Abrahimi, Toomey Latham. Thanks for having us here today.
Is that right enough?
Is this on, or?
It may not be on. I wanna make sure everybody hears it and also gets on the feed.
Muffled enough.
Okay.
Hello. Reza Abrahimi here from Toomey Latham for Woolworth Revitalization. Thanks for having us here today. I'm not gonna say much. I'm gonna let Mr. Butler explain the circumstances, but the general theme of it is that he's not disputing whether the information or the report should be submitted. He's just had difficulty. He's had similar difficulties in the past, but this year they've been compounded obviously by the COVID pandemic, and it's really mostly related to he's got a lot of tenants, and it's difficult for him to get the information out of them in a timely manner, in an accurate manner. But he can speak to that, and what I wanted to request at the end of the day is if the board would provide my client with till the end of this month to submit the full report. He's confident that he should be able to get everything in and accurate by then, and hopefully that would take care of the pending compliance issue. At this point, unless you have any questions for me, I'll turn it over to my client to explain.
Okay, so part of your request, first part of your request is that the deeded information will be into the IDA before the end of the month.
Correct.
Michael, how are you? It's good to see
Good,
you.
good to see everyone. Apologize for not having the statements, but, you know, I think I'm just here to also talk about from a landlord point of view, why some of the difficulties happen with these statements, and, you know, we'll work to get it, but this year, you know, the February 15th deadline makes it very tough. People are just getting their information from their accountants and focusing on that. And I think, you know, I understand your timetable. It's not just the Riverhead idea. You're working with state legislation. So, you know, if you could, that's probably not a possibility. But I feel like it's a little bit every year. It's a push. Everyone's trying to get, you know, information from tenants. And then it's February 15th. And that's been my experience, and usually, you know, within a month after that, we get the information. And this year, you know, was not like other years where I was trying to get information and then people were worried about, you know, their business. We had a gym, our 5 tenants are gym, beauty salon, florist, wireless store, and hair salon, and a bagel store. They were all completely impacted by COVID, closed by the state. You know, I was trying to get information. They would say my accountant's not available, he's not working. So that's really, you know, why this year got even pushed back even further. You know, another point, it's not as easy as you think getting information from small tenants in general. And we do our best, but, you know, I can't make it a full-time job. And I've talked a little bit about how some of the, you know, the tenants don't understand some of these forms, and there's never been, in my experience, any attempt to change this form over the course of the years we've been in the program. It's like the same form whether it was a manufacturer or a retail tenant, and you're asking retail tenants who are very hands-on, they don't like paperwork, they're in their own business, and if what you really want is the employment data, then just ask a simple way. But I can tell you, last year's experience, we met with Tracy after, you know, this is how it works for me. I call, email everyone. I have Ike Israel who helps me with the management, personally visit them sometimes, and you get the forms. They don't make sense to me the way they filled out the employment data, so I'm either forced to interpret them. So last year I spent, you know, a lot of hours doing that, interpreting, and then we presented it to Tracy. She didn't agree with some of our conclusions, and so, you know, I even got my accountant and attorney involved, so it was a tremendous amount of time interpreting what people think, because they don't understand the way the employee data is supposed to, you know, the full-time employee. I don't find it that confusing, a little bit, but people are finding it confusing, and so that really what goes on with completing this. So it seems like, okay, we're negligent, we want to do these forms, but it's a matter of everything else with how much time it is. So the summary of that is last year we did we spent a lot of time. We did an addendum to the whole thing, interpreting, which I have a copy of here, that I don't know if I can present that, leave it, you know,
Sure.
which took a lot of time and included with our application to show what each company, taking what they say they do. You have the New York State 45 form, plus you have your form which says full-time, part-time, equivalent, and at the end usually they don't match, and so from my perspective, I'm supposed to tell how many employees these people have, information, but I can only work on the data. It's not, you know, my business, and we do the best. And at the end, it's a cost to us. You know, I ended up last year having to have an attorney come talk to Tracy and go through the numbers and come up with what we think. So I think, you know, it has to be both ways. We'll do our best to try to do it, but I think the IDA needs to take a little time to figure out how they can make the information simpler for retail. Do we really need all the questions on it? If you only really need the employment data, then, you know, let's ask that in a way to be done. And we have 5 tenants, we're doing my best to get it. We'll have the information, just like last year we had it, and there were some discrepancies, and we can go over it, but, you know, if everyone has to put in a New York 45 form, then that should be the official, how many employees they have. And so then why do we have to, you know, ask the same question? So the short of it is, I apologize for us not being able to deliver the forms on time, and we will have them, but understand that it does take a lot of work, and in this situation where people, you know, we're dealing, the gym is still closed, I have a building, they're my major tenant, they've been out of business, you know, for 4 months, so we're dealing with that issue. We're dealing with a hair salon that, you know, was struggling to begin with, and then they got hit with the COVID. Peggy in Riverhead Florist lost all her big contracts in the spring for that, when they usually do, so, you know, people, it was very hard to get people to focus on a form when they're wondering if they're gonna be in business tomorrow. And so, you know, we will, one way or another, we will get it. It's not always perfect. I have 85% of it probably now from, you know, what information people send. And we should be able to get the rest within a week or two now that people are back open for the most part. The gym is still closed, and the other businesses are still running, and I've already gotten all the stuff from Maximus. They have a new owner there since last year, and he does everything on time. But before that, it was a lot of work chasing the gym. And I'm happy to, you know, to have the report. If you have any problem with it, we can discuss it. But I think the example I left shows that, you know, this was the result of many hours of going through data that the tenants give you that doesn't necessarily make sense.
Okay, we see what you're saying, and what we'd like to do is have our own governance committee meet shortly and think along the lines that you described, and what we do with other similar people who are in the project with us, and see what we can do to help simplify that in the case of retail, for instance. In the meantime, we'll be looking for your report then by the end of the month. Is there any, Tracy, would there be any value to looking at what Michael's got now? You know?
I put it on the governance committee agenda. I will share all the compliance reports.
Good.
Over the past few years, there have been minor amendments, but I would say it was more extensive than reduction of information. But these are regulations being handed to us by the state, in addition to whatever supplementary information the town and board wanted, such as zip codes, you know, of employees, so they can see how many employees live in the town of Riverhead. That gets extensive, but that was a product of wanting more information and more information and more information. The onus falls back on the business owner. But it's on the agenda for the governance committee to review.
Okay. Anything else, Michael?
No, thank you.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for
Your thoughts, and
listening
we'll
to my side.
look into it as soon as we can, and
Thank you.
wish you well in
Stay
completing
safe.
it.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. With our new schedule here, we are now gonna ask people. Oh, here it is. The County Brewery.
Correct. If I may, Chairman,
on up.
this is a tenant for the new apartment building, Riverhead Apartments, also known as Georgia Green Ventures. They're an IDA project, and this is a proposed commercial tenant for the rear of the building. They need our approval to move forward. And today, here with us is Connie Lissandro, who is a consultant for the
Okay.
project, as well as the new entity's owner, Jeff Schaefer.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hi, it's great to be here and actually see you all in person. My name is Connie Lissandro, and I am a consultant for both Georgica Green Ventures, which is a Riverview Lofts, and Peconic Brewery, who is our tenant. We're very excited, and I have to say, I don't think I've seen many businesses as excited as Jeff Schaefer. He has been at this for over a year. It took us a while to get to where we are, and we're very excited. We think it's gonna be really a great asset to our downtown. It's gonna bring a lot of people. We have the 116 apartments and other apartments that are going in downtown, so this is gonna be a great destination for a lot of people, and especially on the riverfront. So I'm excited about it, and I really appreciate your consideration on letting the tenant take advantage of some of the benefits of Georgica Green. So I'm gonna let Jeff tell you more about his business, because nobody does it better. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me today. And Connie is right. This has been a dream project of mine for a long time. I spent about a year and a half, 2 years studying everything I could find out about craft breweries in Long Island, why they're successful and why they weren't. And what I determined most of all was, if you can find a great location that truly can be a destination for people to have a nice, controlled, comfortable, enjoyable experience, then it will be successful. And when I came across 221 East Main Street, because of Ike Israel, a friend of, I think, of a lot of people here, it really opened up my eyes to what that space could really be. You know, if everything had to be perfect, but with the outside of the space being 8,500 square feet and the tall ceilings, it really is the ideal location to have a brewery where the product's made on site. The customers can have a full kitchen where they can enjoy a nice, comfortable meal and sit on a sofa in front of a fire pit overlooking the river on that beautiful deck out there. I truly believe that when this all comes together, people will travel down here to come check it out. People that maybe haven't been to Riverhead in a while or haven't been ever. It really will be hopefully the key piece in what is already a great brewery scene here in town, but this being on Main Street itself. My hope is people will come get a beer, then go have dinner, or come for lunch, then stay afterwards and come to my place, go to the aquarium afterwards. I think this can be a linchpin into people spending their whole day in Riverhead, especially with some of the new improvements I hear coming out through the rest of the town. I'm excited to be here now. I'm excited to be here in this space, and my first thought was always Riverhead. I'm really glad it's working out the way it is. So, thank you guys for this opportunity.
All right, let me ask you a question, Jeff. Just to make sure, you're in the rear,
Correct.
so you're facing the Peconic River. Are you on an end? Left or right end?
I am the whole back space. I'm the whole
Oh
back
my
of the building.
goodness, I didn't-
Yeah, exactly, right? It changes
I
the
go by
scope
it
a
every
little.
day and say, where exactly is this gonna go here?
Yeah, it's the whole back of the building, so it
Now
really will be
now
impressive.
I got a better perspective on
Good,
what you're
good,
talking about.
good. Yeah, that's the space.
All right, thanks.
And so just to be clear, the request is to take advantage of existing sales tax exemptions that were provided to Georgica Green as part of the apartment project. It is not increasing any of those benefits.
Correct. At the moment, there were 2 direct appointments for this project, your construction company, and I think it was Riverview Lofts was actually, Riverhead Apartments was actually approved. They split the sales tax amount. Riverhead Apartments is actually going to, and this is done internally, does not need an approval of the board, but you should be aware, a portion of that exemption that was approved will be allocated towards Peconic County Brewery, and he can take advantage of it with internal forms and in notifying the state.
Okay.
But
This
just,
is
We're
okay?
just approving the tenancy.
and you're also approving a lease, we're doing that as well, right?
Right.
Right, so going back to Michael Butler's point, his lease says that he has to get reports from the tenant, just like this gentleman is now gonna be responsible to give these reports. So there was nothing new in Mr. Butler's understanding of what he had to do, just as you heard, sir, I'm the attorney for the agency, and you heard the previous discussion about reporting, and so in order to substantiate the benefits that you receive, we have to report to the state the facts of your circumstance. And so there's an annual report, which I'm sure Tracy has discussed, and that is going to be required to be in your lease with your landlord to say that you have to give them that information so that they can give it to us.
I believe it is included in the lease already, because the lease was very thorough in some of the IDA benefits, so I believe that's right.
If it was not, it was told to be put in as an addendum.
Yeah, I think it is. It was, 102 pages, so I don't remember
Yeah,
all
I
of
know.
it. I do
I
recall
think
it.
we're responsible for 102 pages, but not that severe.
But there is, and it's timely.
Correct.
Do you have a projected, employment number?
Yeah, there should be about 25 employees coming to the location.
And the timing of the
Opening?
opening?
I'm looking for early September. There's a lot of pieces that have to fall into place for that, but as of right now, it does seem like that's a possibility, so.
Do you have all your building permits?
Not yet, but everything's in process. I have the great Connie Lissandro on the team, in good hands.
What about your, state licenses?
State licenses are all in, yeah, those are all in.
And the parking?
The parking?
Oh, is it I know there's parking underneath the building, but I believe that's probably only just for tenants,
For
right?
For
Okay.
residents, and, we've given some spots to the brewery, but,
Yeah,
the parking
it's,
lot.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Curious, how much of the space is for brewing and how much is for restaurant out of the 8,500?
So it's gonna have a different feel than you may think, so I'll describe it a little clearer. So about, let's say, 20 to 25% of the space will actually be brewing equipment, and the rest will be kind of an open air feel to everything. It won't be like you're being seated at table 20 for a party of 4 and you'll sit there for an hour. There'll be a bunch of seating available to everyone. There'll be outdoor seating, some couches, some fire pits, some areas to play games, and it'll all be a very kind of transient experience. We're able to move around and experience a lot of different views, a lot of different seating in the brewery itself, instead of, as you think there'd be a 50% of tables, it won't look like that.
And you're sourcing your hops where?
They'll be spread out, some will be local. I wish they all could be local, but we're limited here, but there'll be different vendors all across the country.
Thank you.
You currently have a brew going?
I have a brewer, I don't have the equipment in the space yet, so I can't technically brew, but he does some stuff at another location to kind of work on recipes, and, I wish I could have brought you samples, but next time.
I think I sent the board,
Yes.
schematics.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it.
Right, did I understand you, counsel, correctly, that we will have a resolution on this? Or is it not necessary?
Yes, we do have a
We do.
resolution.
Okay. Is it in this packet?
It is, sir.
I gotta put my glasses on, you know, these steam up.
Steam
Okay.
thing's hard, I
Oh,
fight it
it's
myself.
not bad.
No, that's all right.
There were 3 up in the center.
Oh,
Looks
I'm
like it.
sorry, yes.
It's 2820, Tom.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing that
There
earlier
were
today.
3 separate folders up there. Sorry.
I saw that earlier today when I read all this stuff.
Do you have it?
2820.
2820.
So, any other questions?
It sounds like a great project, and it's exciting
does.
to have a tenant in there already and to start the ball rolling.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for your time.
I'll need that back though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Today we're
Thank you, Connie.
gonna handle the resolution now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
What is it, 2820?
Right.
I'll make a motion.
Thank
Second.
you. Second, any more discussion on this?
Who was the second?
I'll second.
Okay, got
Any
it.
more discussion? We okay with this? We understand how it works, and this is a tenant that I think you'll agree. So all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that resolution is fixed. Now, onto a presentation from 331 East Main.
Chairman, 331 East Main Street is a proposal for a 36-unit market rate rental apartment community to be developed at the former Subway site in downtown Riverhead. The agency was first introduced to this applicant during the Opportunity Zone luncheon we held in December of 2018. And we conducted our initial meeting in January of 2019. The principals present today by Zoom are Greg DeRosa and Bob Walsh from G2D Development. And counsel on hand today is Chris Kent and Nick Tazuli from Farrell Fritz. Other principal members include Jerome Wood and John Passy, and
I think he goes by Pacey.
Pacey. Chris Kent, who I'd like to introduce, to invite up to the podium to begin the presentation and make a request for assistance.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening. So we handed in today, just to confirm, a fully executed IDA application, a check for the fees associated with the application. And I just handed up some renderings to show what the building is proposed to look like, from the north elevation, northwest elevation, a west elevation, and a south elevation. Good afternoon, Chairman Crusoe and members of the Riverhead IDA. My name is Christopher Kent. I'm an attorney at Farrell Fritz in Hauppauge, New York. Also joining me is Nick Terzulli. He's an attorney at Farrell Fritz who specializes in seeking financial assistance, incentives, and inducements to assist proposed projects that demonstrate a positive economic impact for the benefit of the host communities. It's a little hard to speak at these.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. We represent the applicant, 331 East Main Street LLC, in its application to the Riverhead IDA for financial assistance to redevelop a currently underutilized 0.36 acre parcel within the downtown center DC1 zoning district at 331 East Main Street. The proposal is a four-story, 36-unit market rate apartment building with covered terraces and a rooftop deck overlooking the Peconic River, together with associated site improvements. It also includes 36 on-site parking spaces. The principals behind the proposed redevelopment project are Greg DeRosa and Bobby Walsh of G2D Development Group. They're an experienced real estate development, construction, and property management company with offices on New York Avenue in Huntington, with a portfolio of residential and commercial properties valued at over $300 million. Their prior and current projects include the development of transformative multifamily residential communities in the town of Huntington and in downtown Hicksville. So I'd like them to speak for themselves. We have Mr. DeRosa and Mr. Walsh. They can discuss the background of their company, their mission, objectives, accomplishments, and the vision, and why they're bringing their product to downtown Riverhead.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks, members of the board. I'd much rather be there in person today, but we understand the circumstances. So thanks for listening to us and hearing our application. We're excited to be in Riverhead and excited to deliver, I think, one of the first market rate apartment buildings downtown. We started as a development company and investment company with our first acquisition in Garden City, and then we grew to development and construction management and property management. And the firm is really focused on downtowns and trying to create best-in-class apartment with some form of mixed use component to the development. We have projects that we've built and completed in Hicksville, Huntington Station, Huntington Village, Port Jefferson, Garden City, and East Meadow. So we think this development would be a good fit for Riverhead and Main Street. and would be a good complement to the existing architecture, and would also serve as a good amenity to the community. Thank you.
Okay,
So in connection with the application for economic benefits for proposed, proposed transformative 36-unit market rate apartment community to be located in downtown Riverhead, the project proposes the demolition of 2 vacant buildings on a parcel adjacent to the Long Island Aquarium in the heart of downtown. The parcel currently pays $17,900 in annual property taxes. The 2 vacant buildings are one behind the other, both had ground floor commercial uses. The Subway restaurant was along Main Street, and hair salon barber shop was in the rear building, with apartment units above in both buildings. As advised by Phil Hancock, who's the current owner of the property, the total annual rent roll from the property when it was fully occupied was about $100,000. In recent years, the collected rent has been about $50,000 per year. The expectation is that the annual rent roll from the proposed project upon full occupancy and operations will be approximately $1 million. The financial assistance from this agency is an absolute inducement for the nearly $13 million capital investment and a necessity for this project to be constructed and the ongoing success of this venture. The proposed project is 100% market rate apartment units and will be first to market in downtown Riverhead. We are confident that the market will support this project. The report from Camoin Associates that we commissioned and submitted to the agency analyzed the economic impact and market feasibility of the proposed project and concluded that all 36 units would be considered net new to the town of Riverhead, affirming our belief that there is a market for the product. However, as this project represents the first market rate unit building in downtown Riverhead, there remains considerable risk to investors. The assistance of the IDA helps ameliorate that risk, allowing the project to be financeable, developable, and sustainable. The proposed gross floor area of the project is 37,385 square feet and includes a rooftop deck in the south part of the building overlooking the Peconic River. The highly amenitized project is pet-friendly and includes a dedicated package room and virtual doorman. The project features an aggressive COVID prevention, cleaning, and maintenance program, and fresh air intakes in all of the rooms and common areas within the units to provide constant fresh air circulation. There is a significant demand for rental units on Long Island, especially in redeveloping downtown areas. And these units are also in low supply. According to a Long Island Index report published in 2016, even if Long Island adds 64,000 more new housing units over 15 years, Long Island would still need approximately 100,000 units to meet the demand. This project will help Riverhead to locally address this critical regional issue. High-quality, market-rate, new, professionally managed apartments are in short supply and hard to find in the town of Riverhead. This project presents a compelling opportunity to deliver high-quality, market-rate housing to an underserved group of Riverhead residents. In addition to providing crucial new housing opportunities, the project will generate significant economic activity to the town through construction phase spending and new household spending. In addition, the increased disposable income will stimulate feet-on-the-street economic dynamism. That's a Nick Terzulli expression, so I want to give credit where credit is due.
I like it.
Wow.
Feet-on-the-street economic dynamism within the downtown walkable community. According to the economic impact report conducted by Camoin, the proposed project is estimated to generate $7,839,000 of economic impact during construction and $1,734,000 of economic impact annually. The project will also generate significant increased real property tax revenue to the town of Riverhead from this parcel, even with a negotiated pilot agreement. The estimated assessed value of the project is, from the assessors, we received an estimated assessed value for the project over 900% more than the current underutilized, underperforming property. While always important, the feet on the street dynamism and economic impact generated by this project will be even more important to Riverhead's economic recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic. Understanding the significance of the project to the local business community, the Riverhead Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Business Improvement District have both provided letters of support for the project. The estimated project cost is $12,944,000 and will create approximately 125 construction job years and 2 full-time equivalent employees during the operational phase of the project. This significant private investment, in light of COVID-related market uncertainties, represents a tremendous investment and commitment to the downtown Riverhead community. The project is located within one of the town's 2 opportunity zones, an Empire Zone and an urban renewal area. Opportunity zones were specifically earmarked for economic development assistance of this kind. The applicant is structuring a financing plan that will enable the entity to utilize the federal tax incentives created by the Opportunity Zone. The Riverhead IDA Uniform Tax Exemption Policy includes an enhanced real property tax abatement guideline criteria. These guidelines include, among others, the nature of the property before the project. It's a distressed area under the census tract. The project benefits, the amount of private sector investment as a result of the project, and the additional revenues that are going to be generated from new tax base and tax revenues, and the business community, the impact of the project upon the existing business community by the added disposable income brought to downtown, the downtown walkable community. Due to the location of the project being in the Opportunity Zone and the distressed census tract area, significant project benefits, economic impact, and increased tax revenue, and the positive impact of the local business community, as we discussed, we are seeking mortgage recording tax exemption, sales tax exemption on all building materials and FF&E, and payment in lieu of tax, a pilot agreement. We're looking for a 20-year pilot agreement. To conclude about the proposed project will immediately increase the value of this property. The town's tax base and the property tax revenues collected for a parcel located within an identified distressed census tract and within the town's East Main Street urban renewal area. The project will add market rate rental units to the housing market mix in downtown Riverhead. It will add residents with greater disposable income living within the developing downtown Riverhead walkable community. The proposed project conforms to local planning and zoning and development efforts. And in response to comments made by members of the town board and recommendations received from the boards, committees, and commissions that advise the town board, the developer made several revisions to the proposed project to reduce the number of units originally proposed, the height, and the visual impact of the building on Main Street and the view to the river. This project will complement other projects that have been developed in downtown Riverhead, and it will supplement the efforts and investment that the town is making to develop a town square to connect Riverhead's Main Street to the riverfront. So I'm available for any questions. We're all available for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, and there probably are some questions.
I just had 2 quick questions. What was the year that the company was founded? I just wanted to get a sense of the history.
What year was the company founded?
Yeah, I mean, how long have they been doing similar projects?
GTD? He's on mute.
You're muted.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
1947.
No,
Now we
I'm
can
just
hear
getting
you,
it, trying to get a sense
Okay.
of the company's
two-
history in
2007.
2007, okay. And then you'd mentioned mixed use, but I'm not sure that I saw
This
any
project
reference to
does
it.
This is strictly a residential
is
building. It
strictly
does have some glass display cases in the front that we're going to provide to the aquarium, to the BID, to East End Arts Council, to the theater. Anybody who wants to put any type of exhibits in those areas, they'll be able to use that for display area.
As long as they can get past the virtual doorman, I guess.
We will make sure that's not a
I don't know
problem.
how that works, but it's interesting. Okay, that's all I was.
Who's gonna control that?
Who's gonna control the virtual doorman?
Who's gonna control the retail exhibit space or the
Yeah,
virtual door?
exhibit space.
Right, how will that work? I mean, in terms of getting access to the public?
So our property management company will be controlling that and monitoring that on a daily basis, in addition to running the building, what's going on upstairs.
Okay, so all the apartments are above that, what would be the
Correct.
storefront space? Okay,
Correct.
It's gonna be a garage on the first
I
ground
s-
floor, and then the display space will be on the Main Street side of the garage.
right.
And there'll be some storage and utility rooms behind the display space, and between the display space and the garage.
And there's a lot of reference to amenities. What,
High-end amenities?
yes, what are some of the details there?
So the building will have a rooftop deck, which, will be pretty nice considering it'll have the whole, Bobby, what is that? The southern?
Yes,
southern-
it'll face the river, you'll be able
Right.
to see right over the top of the aquarium.
Right,
Right. That's one of the amenities that we have. We have, there was mention of a virtual doorman. We have,
Every unit has its own washer and dryer.
yeah,
okay.
on-site parking. We do offer some furnished units depending on the need.
And
So
do you
we're
envision,
pretty-
I'm sorry, do you envision that these will be units that are utilized year-round or more as a second home ownership situation?
I don't really see that. I see, I'm hoping that there's a big demand for, real first home,
Right.
housing as an option for people that are either looking to downsize or can't find an option
Right,
in the area, that don't want to drive up island, as they say,
right.
want to live out in Riverhead.
Mm-hmm.
The seasonality component to it, I really don't see as a big, it's not really what we're going for here.
Right, okay.
I have two questions, Chris.
Sure, Bob.
One is, where are you in the approval process right now?
We are just about to be heard to receive preliminary site plan approval.
So when would you plan on starting the project then?
The project, we're hoping to start sometime around Labor Day.
And completion, do you have a date for that?
Completion is about a 14-month project, Bobby?
Correct.
My second question is, you mentioned the COVID care. How are you using a MERV system in there, or what's the system that you're gonna use? Just curious.
Bobby?
He's muted again. It sounds like.
Bobby, you muted? Yeah, we can't hear you. Unmute. You're muted.
Bobby, you're muted.
You're muted. You gotta press the mute button. He's coming into my office. I'll let him sit at
Now
my
you have to
desk.
put on a mask.
The host has me locked out. Can't get back in. So, from demolition through grand opening, if you will, should be 12 to 14 in duration. I think Chris mentioned earlier, we've worked out parking arrangements with the aquarium for both during the construction and then post-construction, as far as their bus drop-off and pickup and everything else. I have a personal relationship with the Petroselli family for over 30 years, and, you know, they were very amenable to everything we're doing, and, we're working great together so far.
Great.
How many parking spaces are there?
36 on site, yeah.
Okay, so to get back to my question
Yeah.
about, the air, the air is gonna constantly be, I guess, recharged, cleared of pathogens. What system are you using to do that?
So each unit will have its own, each unit will have its own unit. Within the unit, you know, brings in its own fresh air. We're working with the engineers now to upgrade that for the MERV system, for
That's what I-
filtration. You know, it's a filter change and some adjustments you have to make to the equipment. It's not a wholesale change of what the proposed design is. But we're working on that now. You know, we're sensitive to it because we have a lot of tenants that are concerned about it, obviously.
So I didn't look at the plans yet, but are there 2 stairwells, 1 stairwell, elevators?
Elevators, there's an elevator.
One of the 2 stairwells,
2 stairwells?
yes.
How many
We need
elevators?
that proper address.
And garbage disposal?
There will be a dumpster enclosure at the rear of the property at the south end. Yeah, privately, you know, we have private pickup, no town.
So is it a responsibility of the tenant to get the garbage down to the disposal?
Yeah, the tenant or our maintenance people, one or the other, as we work it out. But yes, it'll go into the container, and then we have it private pickup every day.
And so you're pet friendly, are you providing any amenities for the pets, either washing or, voiding? I know in some of your other apartment complexes, you have had, concierge dog walking. Is that part of the plan?
We're gonna offer that. Yeah, that'll be offered here as well, correct.
So the concierge for the dog walking, but are you having any amenities inside the building for the animals, or?
You don't, outside of the rooftop deck.
Yeah. We don't provide that in any of the other
Okay.
facilities. You know, they can go to the rooftop deck, obviously, but, that's pretty much it.
Maybe they could use the penguin to walk them. Little synergy.
Any other questions?
So,
I have a few, go ahead.
the next step would be, you handed in an executed application today that needs to be reviewed, pilot negotiations need to be had. Our next meeting's only in 2 weeks, so that's not feasible, but your timeline is, we've got some time to, be concurrent with your application. We won't approve before the town approves, but we can hold a public hearing, so anticipating all is in order. The next possible meeting for a public hearing would be the September 7th meeting.
Not till September 7th? Okay.
Unless, there's a need for a special hearing before that.
Looks like they'll coincide.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
They'll coincide with when they're expected to be done with the preliminary approvals.
Yeah, they're looking at Labor
Labor
Day,
Day.
right? So if ours is 7th, we would not be before the town.
Well, the public hearing, but that
Public
doesn't
hearing.
have to be the
Ah,
approval,
yeah.
which could be in one night if there's no, issues, but.
Okay.
Can I just add something, or no?
Yeah.
You mind if I add something?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, because this project is in an opportunity zone,
Yeah.
which is a really good thing, it creates a major incentive for us to own and hold the project for a very long period of time.
Yep.
So, I think it's important to understand that when we build this, if we build it, and we get the help that we're asking for today, we're not going away. We're gonna own it, we're gonna manage it, and we're gonna hold on to it for a long time. So, we put a lot of thought and a lot of, time into the architecture and into the floor planning, and so that it was something that we would be proud of and that we would very much wanna keep in the portfolio for a while, so.
It also puts a clock on you, I understand they extended the deadlines for the op zone. What is the timeline for your investment? Do you know?
We're currently in the fund. We've created a fund for this project, and we're hoping to do another project over on Osborne Avenue. So I think we're okay as far as the opportunity zone goes right now. We did lose some of the benefits, but as far as the major benefits, we've retained those.
Does everyone understand the opportunity zone incentives?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just curious, what year you filed for them, was it 19 or 20? Is it 2019 or 2020? So I know you got like a 30-month window.
I believe it was this year, the beginning of this year, but I would have to get our attorney on the answer.
Because you mentioned the extension, it's 180 days in this year because of COVID.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that was really my question, the opportunity zone, so that's taken care of.
You have a meeting in 2 weeks, and then you don't have another meeting till September 7th?
Yeah, unfortunately, because this month it was delayed to the 13th.
Because
So
of
the next one is August
holiday.
3rd, and then that's a 5-week month, so it's September 7th.
August 3rd, there's no possibility, that's in 3 weeks?
I absolutely could not do it.
Okay.
It's possible if the board is so inclined
That would be really good time-wise for all the
to
approvals
do,
that we're lining up.
to do a special meeting, but we'll discuss that.
Okay.
Well, you gotta have the approvals done before we meet anyway. Well, we could meet as long as
We can hold a public hearing, we don't have to approve the application until
Yeah,
they get approval
okay.
from the town. Or we get at least a significant sense that, of the
Mhm.
board, that they're approving this project, which they pretty much already are, but,
They are, but the earliest they're gonna be able to vote is I believe August 4th is they're gonna vote on it.
okay.
The town board is.
We'll do our best to work with you.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your
Thank you very much.
consideration.
Thank you, Bobby and Greg.
Thanks.
Okay.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go on to correspondence, any?
No, sir.
Treasurer's report.
Cash in the checking account, the balance in People's United Bank checking account as of June 30th, 2020 was $20,158.66. Investments, balance at June 30th, 2020 was as follows: $170,426.01. Municipal money market account bearing interest with an annual rate of 0.2%. Revenues on an accrual basis for the month of June 2020 include a refinance fee from 400 Berman in the amount of $2,500 and interest earnings of $79.27. Expenses paid for the month of June 2020 total $12,307.04. A motion to approve?
I'll move. You make the motion? Second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. That's approved. Next. Committee reports. None.
None.
Audit, governance, finance. And we've done the, new business, old business. New business, still none? Great,
That's correct, sir.
okay. So it's time for the much-awaited executive director.
So we received correspondence from the Atlantis, from the aquarium. They'll be applying for a building permit to make an alteration for the construction of what they call the Eye Opener Jungle Gym, consisting of decks and platforms of challenges and learning on the site of the former Discovery mast ride that they had. It was the ride that went up and spun around.
What happened with that?
The mast ride had come into disrepair and they needed to deconstruct it. But as they, like themselves, continue to be innovative, the aquarium is making creative reuse of the space to continue to be viable and successful. They will likely need the agency's approval for the building permit, and so I wanted to get a sense of the board that, of course, it was okay, that we sign on to it. Additionally, we were successful in assisting getting them opened earlier, during our COVID experience. And they are currently staying within the parameters of 25% capacity, so they're not out of the woods by any means yet. They're seeking additional loan funding, deferments on interest, they're getting assistance that way. They're controlling payroll. Naturally, they can't reduce their overhead any more than they can, other than payroll, but they're doing what they can. So, I asked if they had met their 25% capacity, and he said he actually did this past weekend, which is a positive sign that people are not staying away out of fear necessarily, but that's where Atlantic stands.
Well, I'm glad you got involved in it. You know,
Well,
just another country heard from, but most important, since they're one of our projects.
It was
And I think we had some,
group effort. The
some
supervisor
influence.
made tremendous strides with the county to assist in that, in getting them open.
yes,
I sent to you a recent press release from the town, made mention of the IDA's role in assisting and putting together a workable financial structure for the proposed town square. So the town square vision and purchasing are being led by the CDA, since the town is slated to purchase the properties. But the agency's role, has been as a resource for financial structuring of the deal. The agency has used the National Development Council in the past, you're familiar, with a couple of our projects, to create financial models for our projects in making this introduction to the town, leaders, in hopes to assist in the financial structuring and justifying the public investments in the site by the town. This meeting is being set up, we've had difficulty getting together, but we will be meeting with them. In addition, the agency's been an integral part of the public-private partnership crafted to assist the selection process of the private developer, and Dawn and I have been meeting with developers and potential developers, and you know, keeping our finger on the pulse of what her office is really taking the lead on, but we're just there in a supportive role for the town. Over the course of the last couple months, I have been attending a lot of virtual meetings. It takes a lot of time, but I attended another IDA Academy with numerous webinars and virtual meetings on all economic incentives that come up, granted, so that I can be somewhat versed in passing it along. We've been in constant communication with our companies and the chamber in forwarding information, whatever's useful to businesses, both small and large. The Long Island Business Development Council conference has been postponed until 2021. And that's really all I've got for you.
you'll work with, Lori, to set up a,
Yes, governance meeting.
Okay.
Great job, by the way, Tracy, in just keeping the IDA, you know, being on the pulse of what our projects need, what the town in general needs, and anything. You know, I just think you're a tremendous resource in that regard, and I thank you for your efforts on behalf of the town.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's been a little
you know,
tiring.
thank you.
It's a
No,
crazy
no.
time, so
It
I
is
know,
crazy.
and there's information coming at you left and right, and
Oh,
it's every day there's something new, so.
And it changes, you
Yeah.
know, every day it changes, and I'm thankful, I have, you know, the bid and the chamber, I can force feed information to too, when they don't get it, when they do get it, they spread it out, so.
Right.
You just do your best to be a resource, you can't handhold everybody.
Right.
But, and even the county, IDA, even with the IDA legislation that was recently adopted, I should have put that in the packet. about the loans and the grants. So I've been on numerous, meetings with New York State Economic Development Council and the other IDAs. We clearly don't have the resources, to provide loans or grants.
By
A
that
lot-
you mean the financial resources.
The financial resources. Because they are offering, they did offer, the availability to use consultant to vet and do all that,
Mhm.
but we don't have the unfortunately, we're not allowed to go to another municipality either, because I thought that might be an avenue for us as the sales tax exemption, where we would, make recommendations to use the county's, sales tax exemption. We can't do that with the loans and the grants, so it's unfortunate, but I can send people to the county. The county's not even sure they're going to do it yet.
Okay.
Islip is doing it. Brookhaven's exploring, the county's exploring. It's not that easy,
Mhm.
and, they're concerned about using their own, fund balances to support
Right.
the businesses
Yeah,
too, so.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But we're keeping up on all that also.
And now Tracy has another hat that she wears, and that she ushers people in and out and seats them correctly.
yes.
Do I get a stipend for that?
The
The
COVID
protocol
police.
is right.
Taking?
And I also want to thank, Councilman Tim Hubbard for helping us a lot by being the intermediary between here, understanding what's going on and being able to, then, I suppose, educate the board, who's got a lot of other things to do, and it's worked out really well, so thank you, Tim.
You're very welcome. I just wanna say Tracy played it down a lot, but she had a lot to do with the aquarium getting open earlier than scheduled, so just know that she did an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to be congratulated? You're all worth it. You definitely,
Just do with my,
we've gotten through
agenda.
this period, not all of it, but some of it. So is there anything else, any other questions, any other business that's not on the agenda? All right, it's time to adjourn. Give you a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
At
All right,
6:06.
we're done at 6:06.
I have signatures from 3 of you, so don't
Okay.
leave.